Hello, my name is Jeff Jamello, and I'd like to talk today about intuition. From what I gather, a lot of people don't have it. 99% of the world doesn't have it, and 1% does have it and uses it. And I do believe that everyone does have intuition and should use it. Intuition is nothing more than listening to your higher self, whether it be your spirit team, whether it be your angels, pick which way you want to go. It's not a tremendously complicated process. Usually, the way it manifests for me is very simple. I use mine a lot. I use it in my work to help solve problems. I use it for my life, regular life problems. I use it all over the place. Example of it being is you're getting ready to drive home, you get ready to go on a highway, and for some reason you're in the wrong lane. It's like, okay, I got to get over to the other lane, and a voice in your head says, no, go the long way. You go, okay, whatever, let me go do that then. And then you're halfway home, and you find out that there's a traffic jam over on the highway that you were about to take. And by the time you get home, even though it was the long way and took you, say, a half hour to get home, if you would have went on the highway, you would still be there, about 45 minutes later. So it's much longer than you expected. That's just one of them. A lot of other very entertaining stuff is, I see that a lot with people. Over time, your higher self will actually, let me explain how you actually usually determine intuition to start with. Intuition usually comes from, as I said, your spirit team. It's usually the first voice you hear in your head. The second voice is usually your brain, and it's usually contrary to what the first one said. Usually you should try to listen to the first one. It's for your higher good. The more you listen to the first one, the more of those you'll get. Now, what's interesting is if you pay attention to what the first thing you heard and the second thing you heard is, if actually the second thing you heard is in agreement with the first one, which means your brain agrees with them, that actually kind of means you're heading toward alignment, which is a good thing. That means a lot less horrible things happen to you, or a lot less crazy things happen to you. Vice versa, the other way around, is if the voice in your head is saying don't do it, but the second voice says, well, that sounds crazy, but if I do this and do that and do this, you're basically trying to talk yourself into doing it. So, as I said, I've learned to, most of the time, to use whatever the first voice is. It's got me out of a lot of trouble over the years. Now, interesting quirk about that is about this talk right here actually happened 3 days ago. 3 days ago, I received while I was on YouTube, I heard a channel message stating that most people don't use their intuition, which I already knew. That's common knowledge. Yesterday, I heard you're going to go over and tell them how to teach them how to use their intuition. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then today, something very entertaining happened to prove that. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. To preface it, yesterday I was walking around the park, and my dog likes to eat human food, so I go over and I open up the garbage can to see if there's anything there, like maybe an empty half-a hot dog or whatever. Whenever I find, I usually throw it on the ground for her to eat, because it's cheaper to me buying her dog food. And I'm fasting, so... So logically, it made a lot better sense. Well, I opened it up, and I found a set of DVDs in there. I'm like, what? There's 3 of them. And I looked at it fast. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I go over and I open one of them up, and there's no CD inside of it, no DVD. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And I look at the 3 titles. One of them was The Bad News Bears. One of them was The Help. And the third one was, it said Life of something. I don't remember. I'm like, oh, whatever. I go, that's kind of funny. And I kind of walk off. Me and dog kind of walk off and do our walk on trails. 2 hours later, I'm back at that garbage can, and something comes in my head. It's like, that's kind of odd. Something popped in my head. Like, that is very odd. Are those movies like related or something? And it's like, it popped back in my head, and I walked over there and looked at them again. And the third movie, the one I didn't get, was Life is Beautiful. I'm like, Life is Beautiful? Like, I've never heard of that. I go, well, it's probably kind of like, Let's Have a Wonderful Life or something, whatever. And I didn't think much. I'm like, whatever. And then it rained last night, and someone left the lid open. It got all wet. And all this morning, I'm thinking about those movies are related. And I walked over there this morning, and we went over there, and I picked up all three movies. Bad News Bears, 1979. The Help, and Life is Beautiful. What you may want to do is pause it right here and actually go look those up. And I'll tell you right now, you may want to check the summary on the back if you haven't seen them. Because the 1979 one is a very interesting movie, and so is Life is Beautiful. It's not what I expected, but you might want to go look those up or test your intuition and see what you think that means. I'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. Well, the Bad News Bears is about a child and a drunk. An alcoholic. Child and an alcoholic and how they interact together. Interesting. The Help. It's actually a fairly racist movie. It's from Old South. It basically showing racism. It's technically, I guess you could call it something that's long overdue from them talking about. I go, but it is for lack of a better name, it's a story. It is a Southern story. It is what they call a forbidden story. It should never have been told. Life is Beautiful is interesting because I have not seen this movie. I have seen The Help before. And I have seen the newer versions of the Bad News Bears and A Drunk's a Drunk. So. This is an interesting movie that I have not seen. However, if I looked at the back tag on the back, it actually says everything I needed to know. Let me just briefly read it to you. In an extraordinary tale, Guido, a charming but bumbling waiter who's gifted with the colorful imagination and an irresistible sense of humor, has won the heart of his woman he leaves and creates a beautiful life with. And then that life is threatened by World War II, and then he has to use those same strengths to save his beloved wife and son from the unthinkable fate. What I get out of that is, I need to tell a story using humor, a little bit of sarcasm probably, to help save people who have alcohol problems with their children or their parents. I actually can relate to this because my mother was an alcoholic. My grandfather was not. Well, my grandfather drank a lot of alcohol. I don't think he was an alcoholic. Technically, I drank in front of my children, and it may have had an impact on them, so I can talk about that impact. I can also talk about how I don't drink anymore. So, there's 4 things right there on one DVD. What's also very interesting is, not related to this in any way. Last year, I had a very interesting, I think I was watching tarot. And something just flew by and I kind of dismissed it. It was something really crazy. It was like, I heard, I'm going to need to sign paperwork for joint custody for my pet. What? Whatever, you know? I just dismissed it like whatever craziest, and it's the craziest thing I've ever heard. About an hour later, I was already moved on to other things. An hour later, I got to thinking. I'm like, okay, well, and it just popped back in my head. I'm like, that is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I go, the only time you do that is when you're getting married, okay? And it's like, okay, then why would I need, if I'm getting married and the dog would be coming with me, why would I need any kind of paperwork? I'm confused. Am I going to get divorced? This is my dog. Not like it's a joint dog with another person. Then 2 hours later, it popped back in my head, and literally within 20 minutes, I figured it all out, and I probably even almost manifested it. I thought about it, and I sat there and thought, like, okay, the only way this is going to work is I go out, I have a business partner, my business partner and me, we work together. My dog comes with me. She loves the dog. She likes the dog. She adores the dog, or it's part of the business, one of the two. It's maybe one of the perks. I don't know. Maybe everyone likes a happy, lucky husky dog. Either way, it happens. And at that point, I actually find the love of my life and we go to get married. So now at this point, I need, or she's going to request both. Because if the dog was part of the business, I'd be taking the dog out of the business. Think of it that way. I don't know, but I might have just manifested something. You never know. Well, that's all I have for you. And I do strongly encourage everybody to please try to use their intuition. As I said, try to use it a couple times until you get more comfortable with it. I would definitely say, hey, Spirit Team, I would like to test out my intuition. I almost guarantee you they're going to go over and bombard you with stuff because they want you to use it. And if you don't use it, you don't know what you're missing. Have a great day.